Okay, welcome to the open agenda of the regular council meeting Tuesday, March 19th, 2024 at 4:44 p.m. in council chambers and via Zoom. We acknowledge that the town of Kirkland Lake is located on the traditional territory of Algonquin peoples, including Beaver House First Nation and unceded territory of other Indigenous peoples. We recognize the presence of the Algonquin, Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Cree, and Métis people in our community since time immemorial and honor their stewardship and care of these lands. We hereby affirm our continued commitment and responsibility to reconciliation. We'll call to order in a moment of silence. Thank you. Before we begin this evening, I want to acknowledge the weight of this evening's proceedings. The items brought tonight are likely to be some of the most consequential of our political careers. There are bound to be some big feelings around the table when discussions begin, and I caution everyone to be mindful that we are all doing our best to provide our community with the services they both desire and those services that are legislated with facts and information that are available to us at the time of these discussions. We are all on the same team, community members, staff, and council, with the goal of building Kirkland Lake together. I expect we will treat each other with mutual respect and kindness as we move the business of the municipality forward. Item number 2, approval of the agenda.
Moved by Councillor Janice Ranger, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, March 19th, 2024 be approved as circulated.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 3, declaration of pecuniary interest. None noted. Item number 4, petitions and delegations. There are none this evening. Item number 5, acceptance of minutes and recommendations. 5.1, council minutes.
Moved by Councillor Lad Chaba, seconded by Councillor Dolly Dykens. Be it resolved that the council approve the minutes of the following meeting, minutes of the regular meeting of council held March 5th, 2024.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried.
No, I've seen it.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Item carried. Item number 5.2, local and regional board minutes.
Moved by Councillor Redon, seconded by Councillor Patrick Kelly. Be it resolved that council receive the minutes of the following meeting, minutes of the Timiskaming Health Unit Board of Health held January 31st, 2020.
All in favor? Opposed? Item carried. Item number 6, reports of municipal officers and communications. 6.1, 2024 corporate business plan. Alan Smith, CAO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, to members of council. The corporate business plan is based on accumulation of departmental business plans. The plan outlines the strategies, initiatives, and actions that town aims to achieve within each priority area identified in the corporate strategic plan. By clearly identifying these, the plan sets a clear path forward, providing a roadmap for effective decision-making and resource allocation. The corporate business plan also informs a budget, which is designed to support the projects and initiatives needed to meet the strategic priorities of council. So now the town has a comprehensive system in place. Each year, departments will draft their departmental plans, which are at a high level, not the day-to-day operations. Administration will then develop these into the corporate business plan, which will inform the budget. I must stress that all this supports the priorities and vision within the corporate strategic plan. I just want to thank staff, directors, and managers for getting information to the department plans quickly. We appreciate it, and also to our strategic initiatives coordinator Stephanie for guiding this process with lots of help and from HR and Jen and her communications team. It really was a full team effort. So I just want to thank everyone for that. With any questions?
Thank you. Before I open the table, I do want to mention that this is the most in-depth description of all of our departments that I've seen since probably the departmental briefing of 2012. So that's amazing, and it gives all of our community members a resource to fully understand the services and the responsibilities of each department. And it is incredible the amount of work that was done. And it will serve as a good measuring stick moving forward. Comments or questions? Councillor Owens?
I appreciate the effort that went into the reports that we're getting tonight. There's a lot of them. It's heavy material. I know the difference between voting yes, no, and abstaining. I don't vote abstain because I think it's not right. We need to vote yes or no. But in this case, I don't think it's fair for staff to have to put in the hours that they did to get this agenda to us. Because it's not right to have staff stay here till we got the agenda at 12:15 at night. I was on vacation last week, as other councillors were. I appreciate that's my job to read reports. I don't have a problem with it, but we've got important decisions to make, and I had to pick and choose which reports to read. And some of them unfortunately had to fall to the wayside. This is one of them. So I can't support it. I can't not support it because I haven't read it. I haven't read the minutes before. That's why I abstained. It's the first time in my 5 years on council that I do that because I don't think it's right to abstain. But in this case, unless we defer this one, I'm gonna have to abstain again. Which I feel a coward for doing, but unfortunately, I'm not informed. And I feel bad for staff because this is not right. This is not the first time this has happened. And it's simply not right.
I appreciate those comments. Councillor Owen?
Through you, your worship. I would be in favor of deferring this report. Not only do I have very large family obligations, the number of pages that were meant to be read for this meeting was, as far as I'm concerned, was unreasonable, considering that 4 people at this table have full-time jobs. I too did not get a chance to read all the reports. I had to pick and choose, and that's not a situation that I've done before. And anything that doesn't need to be discussed tonight, I'd like to defer to our next meeting. And in the future, I would recommend that if the agenda is going to be this long, that a special meeting of council be called, so the agenda can be split over 2 weeks instead of 1 week. In which case, that would be on the high end, but a reasonable amount of reading for councillors to do. I mean, it's not our full-time job to sit on council, but this agenda was a full-time job agenda, and these are important issues.
I appreciate your input. Councillor Kylie?
Yeah, I echo the same concerns that Rick and Casey, that we didn't have time enough to digest this, and skipping through the reports is not what I look forward to or recommend, so I'm in favor of the deferral as well.
I appreciate your comments. Anything further from members of council? CAO Alan Smith?
If you, Madam Mayor, 2 members of council, will appreciate your concerns with the agenda, the length, and the depth of some of the subjects. I do want to say that a number of reports, this was strategic in nature because a number of reports required to align with the budget. It was better to put them in the same agenda. However, council is quite correct. You can defer a report if you feel there's enough time to review. But I do want to state that it was a matter of strategic in nature why some of these reports were placed on the agenda.
Thank you. Councillor Ranger?
Through you, Honorable Mayor, I do like Councillor Owens, recommendation or suggestion that because of the bulk and the weight of the content within this agenda, it'd be split. And I would be more than happy to move forward a motion to split the agenda, and change,
Defer the matter.
defer the matter, yes.
I need a second.
Are you seconding?
Sure, I'll
Jennifer?
second that.
Okay,
The matter before council now is
Yeah.
whether or not it wants to
Yeah.
defer the matter.
thank you.
Can I,
Oh, so now that we have a mover and a seconder, yeah, the conversation moves to,
Yeah.
should we defer this specific matter, item 6.1, to the next council meeting?
Which is April 2nd, 2024.
Thank you.
Or,
No, that's
No.
the public meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. So it would give council members that did not have an opportunity to do a fulsome review of this very important report, time to consider the matter. Any comments from council members?
I agree. Through Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
I agree that, it's not, I wanna make it clear, I'm not being selfish in this, that this is a problem that needs to be addressed. It's not fair to staff. Staff are allowed to go home and have family time, and to be here at 12 till 12 o'clock at night is not right.
Thank you for that. Okay, all in favor of deferring the motion? So moved. Thank you, everyone. So carried, yeah, thank you. So now we no longer discuss the matter. Item number 6.2, 2024, operating and capital budget, Lloyd Crawford, treasurer.
Mayor, through you to council. On my place here, sorry. A report in front of you for the presentation of the budget. I'm gonna hit on a couple of points. I will not read verbatim the report. There's a couple of, I guess, additions to it in by description that I'd like to add. So we're pointing out a couple of things. So in the introduction, we talk about the process that we walked through for the budget. And I just want to kind of make it clear that we started this process back in November of last year. We've been back and forth. There's some comments in there about how it takes 2 or 3 times. Sometimes when we go back to the department heads and, you know, especially on the scale of the numbers we're talking about this year, that process was much more extended than normal. There's a whole section here on the rest of the process, the schedule, and it was an inclusion in your, I believe everybody got a binder with the schedule, so that you all have an idea of when you get an opportunity to talk to this budget in more fulsome way, and the opportunity for ratepayers to also add in their comments. The budget survey is also included. There's a lot of, it's well worth your read if you get a chance. There's a lot of really interesting comments in there, and there's a lot of consistency in the comments, which is kind of interesting to see as well. I just want to point out a couple of very important things. There's actual figures in there this year from last year, from 2023. Those are not audited figures. Those are preliminary figures. I just want everybody to really understand that. When we go through the audit, there's often substantive changes in some of those numbers. We talked a little bit about this in some of the other reporting we've done, but it's the same issue. So they're more for kind of a guidance and a scale type of, so when you're looking at the budget, you have some idea of scale of expenditures in the previous year. So you can see under the operating and capital budget preparation section, we started with a $3.5 million operating deficit, and we had a $5 million capital deficit when we started the process. So what you're seeing before you, as you pointed out, is many iterations later. An awful lot of work, a lot of going back and forth to try and put some priorities into this, see where we could find savings. It was quite an extensive process. After that, you have the actual, some quick summaries of the various departments within the corporation of the town. We'll have an opportunity to read that. There is the general section. I threw a few things in there that we haven't specifically talked about in the past, but I think are important to recognize. We have approximately,
I'm sorry.
Can you give page numbers if?
page 6.
Thank you.
Sorry. Near the bottom of page 6, under the general title. Second paragraph, corporation approximately last year, it's not a perfect calculation, we spent $13.7 million in wages. So when you see union agreements in front of you, and we talk about, COLA pay increases and wage increases related to that, that's the number we're talking about. So I put a very quick calculation in there saying if everybody had a 2.5% rate increase, and that's the lowest rate that we incurred in the 2024 budget. Many of the union agreements have higher starting points. That would create just over $340,000 more of expenditures in 2024. No decisions being made. That's just part of the agreements that we've signed off on, the commitments we've made to staff. That would be a 3% tax levy before we consider basically anything else in the budget. Performance step increases, there's still a little bit of pay equity hanging around. Increased benefit costs, we have suffered quite a bit of an increase in our benefit cost. For the most part, it's the actual benefit, it's not the rates that we're seriously impacted, it's the actual claims. They've increased quite a bit over the last 2 years. And the last kind of big one, I guess, is the insurance costs. They have been skyrocketing as well over the last 2 years. We're now up to very close to $1 million a year. Just short of that was the check we cut about a month ago. So, and I guess my tie-in to all of this is nobody's coming to the table to help us with these kind of costs. There's no funding sources for this. There's no, the one funding source that we've relied on in the past to help with our operating costs. It actually went down a small amount this year. So, that's kind of the revenue side related to operating. There isn't an awful lot of revenue other than fees and this particular fund that are available to us to deal with operating expenditures. So, other than the fee stuff we're going to see later this evening and in the future, this is the only other source other than the ratepayers. There's of course the financial consideration summarizes the final recommendation that we're eventually going to get to in probably close to 2 months from now, I guess. I just want to be clear about what we're saying. We're using $3 million of reserves and reserve funds. $1 million is the one that most of us will be very concerned with, and that's to help with the operating budget. The other $2 million is in capital. It is very typical of us to spend that much out of reserves and reserve funds and some of the other funding sources in a normal year in capital. That's not atypical. The 1 million clearly is. So again, just want to be very clear about some of the things we're seeing in here that aren't normal or, are certainly going to be create some discussion. That's essentially everything I'd like to hit in the report. I understand we have a very long kind of process for proper discussion about the budget, but if anybody has any questions about the report, I'd be happy to talk and speak to it.
So just before I open the table, I do want to remind members of council that we will have the opportunity to ask the specific departments specific and targeted questions at our meeting on the 27th. So if we just can keep questions this evening to a kind of high level, that would probably be greatly appreciated. And as we go through the process, just be mindful of any targeted and really kind of nitty-gritty questions can probably be better served at the 27th. That being said, I do have one question myself. I didn't notice how much of our tax stabilization fund we'll be using to offset.
So for me, that and what we call the surplus accounts is the same thing. We could choose to use that fund or we can choose to use the surplus funds. They are essentially the same thing from an accounting point of view. They're both available to offset or have one-time type of decisions like we're looking at here. It's certainly within council's purview to designate that fund to deal with what we're looking at here.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Owen, so,
Through you, Madam Mayor, this is really high level and, when we reread this document and when this information starts to come out in public that we're about to get a substantial tax increase, regardless of how it goes, the 80% original increase you speak of in operating capital budget presentation when staff first started this process, got brought down to 9.8%. The explanation for that 80% does that come out of the general section you just explained? Is that like, what makes it that we get slammed with an 80% potential increase to operate the town of Kirkland Lake in 2024?
So through Madam Mayor to Councillor Owens. 50% of that was capital. There was a very long list of capital. And if you don't identify specific revenues or reserves, the assumption is it comes out of the tax levy. So 50% of that 80 was driven by capital requests. The other 30% was operating. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure I could give a proper summary of what changed between the first version. But much of the pressures discussed in the report, very, very high level.
Yeah.
We were trying to address those.
Quick follow. I've been on council for 5 years. I've never seen a number this high. Is this normal for municipality? Cause I remember way before us, a certain CEO, many CEOs ago, had done some strategy like that where he blurted out a huge number, scared half the town to death, and then the number dropped. Is this the same thing? Like, is this normal, 80% increase for municipality, or are we in trouble? High level,
So
trouble.
through you, Madam Mayor. The capital portion of it is not that far from normal. We usually get a very long list of capital requests. It's not meant to scare you, it's more to kind of give you not a timeline, but a kind of a strategic overview of the process we had to go through to get it down to something a little bit closer to normal. Certainly not normal, I'm not pretending it is. But, you know, we started at such a high number. The operating one is the one I suppose is by far the biggest issue. The capital, you all know, you've seen many reports between 10-year plans, the asset management plan, the water plan. You know the pressures were under there. So that list is just a reflection, a pure reflection of saying these things should be on the list. Some of them we just can't pay for at this point. So that's the drop in that list. The operating one's a bit different. I think a lot of stuff has kind of come home to roost for us when it comes to, you know, wages and stuff like that. A lot of stuff coming out of COVID kind of changed very quickly on us. And in one department, two departments at least, the COVID thing created a problem, an ongoing problem that, you know, there's no easy solution to. So,
thank you.
Thanks.
Any more high-end questions, Councillor Owen?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you, to the treasurer. We are using, reserves to keep the increase down. What do we have left in reserves? Because I don't want to see us get into the position that we were 5 years ago, where there were no reserves. But we kept the taxpayers happy by giving them a 0% rate increase. I don't want, as a councillor, I don't consider that to be proper management. So what are we doing? How are we doing with reserves if we take out the amount that's suggested here?
through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Owen. I appreciate that comment. There was an awful lot of discussion on SMT about the idea of what the mix should be. Clearly, you know, the idea of keeping ratepayer increases down is front and center. I live here, I have the same motivation, the same feelings about the rates and the tax rates themselves. We chose that level, you know, for the opening discussion that we're having here. The reserves, that's not impacting them enough to worry at this point. We have a little bit over $4 million in the surplus. That number is very tentative. I will not, I'm not gonna say that's the number because the audit still has to be finished. There's adjustments that happen. So we're not, collapsing our reserves to try and preserve, to keep a tax rate increase low. And I think it's pretty obvious that, it's a high tax rate increase. So, that tool, we're also trying to avoid. We're trying to keep ourselves in a better position to deal with the very real issues we already know are coming. A lot of it around infrastructure, but the operating side, the world has changed drastically around us. And, we're trying to anticipate this, think a little bit more strategically. So some of this process, some of this mix is our attempt at our first attempt. And looking forward to hearing from all of you.
Thank you. Just a note before, Councillor Kylie goes. I believe in the binder, it might be on tab 5.
Yep.
And on the agenda for people at home with an attachment 5 as well. And for people watching at home, it would have been attachment 5 for those numbers. Councillor Kylie?
Yeah. What's the process from here? What are we expected to do?
So as per our, like in the front of our binders, we were, so we were provided with a schedule. So the next meeting that we have is the March 27th.
Yeah.
And that will be the special meeting 2024 operating budget presentations by department and the capital budget presentation. So at that time, that's when, in general, remember, we go with each department and we're able to ask them questions about specific line items, etc. And you can kind of see where we are. The next one is the public meeting and so on and so forth. Mhm. Yeah. Councillor Dykens?
To you, Madam Mayor, to council, just a general comment. If our tax levy increased by 3% just for salaries, we're in trouble long term because that's not even operating or anything else. So it's just a general.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and that's what I was trying to say, the strategic realities that we're facing right now. I put that number in there not as a shocker, but more just a kind of, we spend more on wages than we raise in taxes. So, we're always, every time we sit around the table and we talk about union agreements and wage increases, it's kind of good to have it framed. Well, the other side, the implications, it's not just it's not just kind of a lighthearted kind of view of it.
Thank you for that. Anything further from members of council? Okay, nothing further today. I'll have the reading of the motion.
Certainly, Madam Mayor, moved by Councillor Patrick Kylie, seconded by Councillor Rick Miller. It resolved that report number 2024 Corp 20 entitled 2024 operating capital budget be received for information, and that a public meeting be held in relation to the water and wastewater rates as presented on Thursday, April 4th, 2024 at 4:40 p.m. And finally, that the 2024 budget schedule be amended to substitute April 23rd special meeting 2024 town budget for approval to April 25th special meeting 2024 town budget for approval.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 6.3, proposed 2024 user fees and charges. Jennifer Montoy, municipal clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, members of the council. As the report is quite explanatory, I'll keep it brief. The town senior management team and staff have thoroughly analyzed and the respective user fees and services charges for the town of Kirkland Lake vis-a-vis the budget this year. Based on the data collected from this year's budget survey, most respondents noted that they would be amenable to the town introducing new fees and or increases to user fees and charges to balance the budget and take the pressure off the tax levy. Administration is recommending a post-effective date of July 1st for the enactment of all changes or additions to user fees and charges. A public meeting must be held in accordance with the town's notice policy. It's being proposed to run concurrently with the two other public meetings being held on Thursday, April 4th, at 4:40 p.m. And should council have any specific questions surrounding the proposed changes to fees, rates, or charges, I'll invite the responsible directors to supplement the rationale provided within the report this evening.
Thank you for that. Any questions from council? Councillor Owens?
Through you, Madam Mayor, so, I know this is coming back and come forth for discussion. Are we allowed to ask a specific question for a specific fee at this time?
Through you, Madam Mayor, just to reiterate, the April 4th meeting is a public meeting, so it's not for discussion of council, but.
Yeah, no, I know,
certainly
yeah,
is-
yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, I misspoke, it's gonna come back at one point, I have to vote.
Yeah.
Okay, so, through you, Madam Mayor, it's never a fun thing to say that we're gonna have to start paying more for services we get from our municipality, considering the amount of taxes we're asking our residents at the same time to pay. So between the water and at 9.2% sewage, taxes 9.8, I'll be honest, I'm not going to Tim Hortons in the next month and a half. Like, I'm afraid for my life, and justifiably so. And I'm a resident as well, I'm not pleased to be paying more. Certain fees I could see that we have to pay, but certain, like, seem like a cash grab. I brought this up last year with our fire department. I know we're gonna try and get more fees from insurance companies, that's fine. But enough of my taxes or our taxes collectively go to our fire department. The fire permit. I know it's $15, it's not the end of the world, it's just a symbolic nature of it, of having to pay. I wanna have a fire in my backyard with a drink in the summer and I have to pay $15 to go get a piece of paper. Like, before the fire department came to my house, I actually got to see the fire truck, they came in, they checked my fire pit, they tell me if it was okay or not, and then they sign off, bring me back the permit. Fine. Now we don't even do that. I think we'd have to check with the fire chief, is there even a way we can do the form online? Submit the information, put a picture in, like we feel service request, send that off to the fire department, they look at it, check it off, yes, you're good, send you your permit via email, you print it out, don't even have to pay for paper at the town of Kirkland Lake, and then you save $3,000. We need to give our residents a break somewhere. $15 is not a big break, but if I wanna have a fire in my backyard, I should be able to have it without having that worry of paying, especially what we're paying for the rest of our services. Good services, I'm not disputing that, but $15. That's my comment.
I'll have the fire chief come up to speak on that matter.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Through you, Madam Mayor, the fire permits, you can see in the report, I did actually put the costing that it actually took for the time for the permits. And it wasn't that we're trying to make money off of it, it's just we're trying to not impact the tax base. That's the biggest reason for the fee. So you saw that at the $15, it's still, we didn't make a total money back. It was still a loss at $15. At the $20, that's when it sort of broke even. For us to administer a program online totally, we could do it in-house if we had the staffing. Unfortunately, that's probably gonna be anywhere from $25,000 to $3,000 of somebody's time to do that work somewhere. If we pay an outside agency, we're probably looking at $4,000 to $5,000 to pay somebody to administer the program. So there's still a cost involved, it's just, we were just trying to recoup so the tax base doesn't get hit.
And I follow.
Follow-up question?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. So I get it. I totally get it. I mean, sorry, excuse me. Most of our services, we never recoup the cost. There's no way we can pay for services in the fire department that will get our costs back. We don't even do it with the arena. We don't do it with the pool. We don't do it snow removal. Water is the only one that completed. Water and sewers. If I'm right. It just seems to me that somewhere we need to help our, like, it's a small help, it's a small cost, we pay the staff regardless they're there anyway. Is there a way that this one, I'm not saying down the road, but for the time being, just a little present. And I'm not gonna vote no on the user fees over this, but it's just somewhere that's kind of be reasonable. Okay.
I appreciate that. If you want motion upon. If you want to attempt to bring a motion forward and get a secondary, we can vote on that
It doesn't
amendment.
have to be done today, it can be further down the process, I
Yeah.
think just, we're gonna vote on this later anyway, right?
Mhm.
So it can be done, if you wanna do it tonight, you can do it tonight, if Bassett does, if not, then it's up to you, whatever is easiest for quick.
Certainly through Madam Mayor. Well, council, if you would let, if council wishes to indulge in comments from the public first. And then, make a decision on future time, that is also
I'm
an
open to that.
option.
Thank you.
Perfect. Counselor Owen?
Just for my own clarification, when this comes back to council for a vote, we will have a discussion period. Because this is another document that normally I go through line for line, and
Yeah.
with the amount of stuff, I didn't get a chance to do that, so I just want to make sure I do have a chance to come back. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and this item is for information purposes only at this time, so we're not making actual decisions. Thank you, sir. Anything further from members of council? Okay, I'll have a reading of the motion.
Certainly not a mayor. Moved by, excuse me. 1 minute. Moved by Counselor Lad Shaba, seconded by Counselor Casey Owens, be it resolved that report number 2024 Corp 17 entitled Proposed 2024 User Fees and Charges be received. And finally, that a public meeting be held on Thursday, April 4th, 2024 at 4:40 p.m.
All in favor? Opposed, none noted, item carried unanimous. Item 6.4, 2023 summary of remuneration and expenses, elected officials, Lloyd Crawford, treasurer.
Council, this is, the essentially information reports that we provide to council. Gives you an idea of what was paid to council through the corporation itself and some of our shared boards. I apologize for the change in the attached schedule. We have some stuff being posted into different, primarily training costs that we weren't picking up through the normal council expense accounts. So that's the change that you're seeing there. Other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory when you look at the schedule. Happy to answer any questions.
I just want to, let you know that I really appreciate the way it's broken down. In previous years, we got it all lumped together. So it looked like our remuneration was way out of line with what we had passed. So the way it's broken down, community members can actually see the expenses for traveling versus training, versus remuneration, in funds. So I do appreciate that. It gives more transparency. Counselor Owen?
Yes, through you, your worship, I'd also like to point out that in the case of the boards that pay, that money comes out of the board's budget, not out of out of Kirkland Lake budget. So I think it's important to note that cost is spread throughout the whole district.
There is one board that we find, and that's the police services board. And I would like to also point out that the clerk has the best practices. The schedule that you're seeing there that's getting expanded comes from that particular area. It wasn't the treasurer this time.
Yeah.
Excellent work, Madam Clerk. Anything further from members of council? Nothing noticed, noted. I will have the motion read. Thank you.
Certainly, Madam Mayor, moved by Counselor Rick Owens, seconded by Counselor Janice Ranger, be it resolved that report number 2024 Report 15 entitled 2023 Summary of Remuneration and Expenses for Elected Officials be received for information.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 6.5, proposed council remuneration policy, Jennifer Montoy, municipal clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, as the report is quite explanatory, I'll try to keep this as brief as I can. Based on municipal comparators, the current remuneration paid for council in Kirkland Lake and considering its population is in line with municipalities of similar size and composition. Administration are proposing this year's proposed 1% increase as the benchmark honorarium marker in the proposed council remuneration policy, which would take effect January 1st, 2025. That would be for the future. New, like the non-union employees, administration is recommending that an annual salary adjustment be made as per the QP Local 26 collective agreement. Administration recommend that council continue to receive meal mileage, travel, conference, and training in accordance with corporate policies. Administration further recommends the council continue with their group life and extended health care benefits, subject to adjustments in mirroring QP Local 26 collective agreement. At this time, administration remains indifferent to council's participation in the OMERS program. However, should it be the direction of council to proceed, a resolution to proceed is required. An adjustment to the 2024 budget is required. The enactment of a bylaw must be passed, and the amendments to the council remuneration policy as presented will also be required. New administration is recommending a wellness membership subsidy for elected members of council as presented in the proposed council remuneration policy. Which is 25% of the complex membership. And for ease of reference, schedules have been appended to the proposed council remuneration policy, identifying in greater detail council's remuneration and the procedure in establishing same year to year, as well as remuneration and benefits available to council through its participation on local and regional boards. I'm available for questions, and may I seek the assistance of the treasurer if there are any.
Thank you for that. Before we proceed, I just want to make some notes about what this council has done, what previous council had done. So during the 2018 and 2024 term, council did not take an increase year over year. The amount that we started in day one was the amount that we left in 4 years later. It was brought that we were becoming out of line with our comparators, and it is my understanding that our comparators now are also doing a fulsome review of their remuneration. We also at that time removed the option of OMERS benefits as well. When we first came on board, after 2 terms, you were entitled to a pension, and we thought that it was wise at the time because of our financial constraints to opt out. So I do appreciate the work of staff. It is a very, very well-written report with many comparators to put us in line, and this policy is absolutely phenomenal. And kudos to staff that worked so hard. Councillor Ranger, no, sorry, Councillor Shava.
Yeah, to you, your worship, this is very good policy. The only problem that I have is the 1% increase. And I think in view of what we've just heard from treasurer, we should, and from yourself, trying to give everybody a break. So I will be very comfortable we'll have a 0% this year. And then maybe next year we can look at the situation and see if it improves. So I would really suggest that we look at that aspect of that policy to have 0% for this year.
I don't disagree with you, but I think we already. No,
It has to be part of the budget.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Councillor Owens,
I've got 2 issues with the policy that I want to address. So the first one, that I don't agree that the taxpayers should be subsidizing in any way, shape or form my gym membership if I choose to have one. I'm well paid. I'm well paid in my job. I'm paid for what I do here as well. It's not up to taxpayers to fund our gym membership. That's my point of view on that one. The second one, a bit more of a point of contention, and I brought this one forward before. Item 2.0, reimbursement of missed employment due to council functions. So in previous councils, we were never asked to be at council or in training during work days, work time. And this term, that has changed. And I've brought up policies, an example of a policy from a different municipality where when council members have to take time off from their work, that they be paid for the time missed. My wages don't come close to $75 a day. I had asked that this be rectified, and this has not changed. $75 a day is not fair. Most members around this council that work. So if we are going to be asked to take time off from work to be at council, then we need to offer proper compensation for it, or we need to specify that there will be no training demanded of council members during work time. It's one or the other. You can't have it both ways, in my opinion. And this is a point of contention, just a no go for me.
anything from other members of council? Councillor Owen?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Owens on the complex membership. If we're gonna spend money on complex membership subsidies, I'd rather see it go to deserving young people who can't afford to join the complex than to go to me. I mean, if I want to join the complex, I can find the money to pay for a full membership. If my grandchildren want to go, I can find the money for them to get a full membership. And my grandchildren do take part. So I'm in agreement there. And I'm also in agreement with Councillor Owens on the $75 at today's standard. That is not a day's pay by any stretch of the imagination. Just for the record, I'm retired, so it doesn't affect me. But I think if I was in any one of the working members of council, $75, I'd stay at work. And then that defeats the whole purpose of having whatever it is that you're having on a work day. Thank you.
Councillor Ranger,
Thank you, Mayor. I'm fully in support of Councillor Chavez' suggestion of not taking any increase at any percentage for council with what we're looking at for the tax rate. Again, I also support Councillor Owens's suggestion of not being subsidized for complex memberships or any other memberships that council chooses to engage in. As council members, we're taxpayers as well, so it would just be as a member of the community. I just find it interesting that you don't want 25%, but you don't want, as somebody who poses themselves as somebody who would utilize the fire permit, you would benefit from it not having a fee attached to it. So I find your argument sort of muted or negated because of the two comments.
just, sorry, just a reminder that we should be dealing with the facts and not cross talking. Okay,
My apologies.
Councillor Shava?
Yeah, just to add to you, Madam Mayor, I think maybe later on down the road, we have to review all these other benefits that are there. And we're talking about pension owners and all of that stuff. I mean, for me, for some of us here, this is not really a full-time job. I mean, this is really a volunteer job, and I really don't think we should try to make it a full-time have a full-time benefits to surround it. So I'm quite happy if I don't have to derive anything from pension from here or any other benefits, but there might be people that needed it here. I get it, but at the same time, when we're staring at the financial situation of the town, we just can't afford to give people things that they have otherwise. I have pension somewhere else, you do, it's not you guys do. So I think we're here as volunteers. First and foremost, we're not here as a paid staff, like all the good staff we have here. So we should look at it like that, and it's not a place to make money, but it's a place to really help our community. So the whole gamut of benefits that are available, they're very nice to have, but we have to ask ourselves, are we in it for that, or are we in it to serve our community? Maybe this is not a initial point for conversation for that, but I think that something that you didn't even cost at all. I don't think it's the costing of that, but there's a cost to that. There's a cost to that, so.
Yeah.
I think we should look at it.
So, thank you. Madam Clerk will respond.
Sure. So just to be clear, Cal Council Administration is not recommending either or participating in OMERS or any subsidy plan for that matter. And the costing was included in the actual report. It was a little bit shy, or a little bit over $10,000 is what it would have been a cost to you and cost to the municipality.
Yes.
So.
Sorry, and just to continue, oh, thank you, sorry.
I might just add one other thing, and to speak to the $75, again, this comes out of a survey, it's entirely at council's decision how much that could be. I think the thinking behind that was less about reimbursing people fully, it's more like if you end up in a court on a jury, you get something to recognize your efforts, it probably isn't adequate. But again, council can certainly revisit that number. It's well, it's very open to your.
Sorry, I just, wanna go back, the policy was based on, information and best practices from many municipalities. So like I said, we, 2018 to 2022, we had removed the pension, we had removed, but other municipalities do offer that, because even though in Kirkland Lake, it's not a full-time job, in other municipalities it is. So we kind of had to, I think, take that into consideration, and I do think it's valid what everybody said at the table. We did it in the past, that we took the financial considerations of the municipality ahead of our, what the town could offer us, so it's definitely an agreement. Councillor
For Owen or Owens?
Owens, sorry.
For the benefits, we may need to get clarification on this one because I don't claim any benefits from the municipality whatsoever. I opted out of the program, I thought completely, and in the summary, there's an amount attributed to my name and I collect nothing. So I don't know where that figure comes from, and is it something that can be rectified, because it's not fair for taxpayers to be subsidizing something that I don't utilize, and I don't wanna be people to think that I'm utilizing something that I'm not utilizing. So if we're gonna go down the road of clarifications on points like that, then I'd like that to be clarified. And my last point is there's a difference between a subsidy available to the entire municipality and 7 members of council.
Councillor Dykens? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Lloyd.
Speak to the benefits. I'm not the benefits person, but I can say that it's likely to be life insurance. I think everybody gets that by default.
Mandatory group life insurance.
Yeah. It's
And there's
not-
no way to opt out,
No, it's part of being an employee at the town.
but we're not employees. And I know technically we are for payroll, but I'm not an
I was gonna
employee,
say,
so.
The CRA would review it different.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending.
Thank you for that. Councillor Dykens?
To you, Madam Mayor, probably to the clerk, just for clarification. I support, Councillor Shaba's, suggestion that, we revisit what we had already voted for, so that for 0% increase. I voted against it initially anyhow, but what is the process? Like, at what point do we address that?
Certainly, through Madam Mayor, to all council. I've been jotting down the desires of all council. Right now, I have a few to remove the 1% increase, a few to amend to remove the wellness membership subsidy. And nobody has really given me a different amount to the $75 compensation for attendance at council meetings because, or sorry, not attendance, I'm having to attend council functions and I'm missing work.
Councillor Dykens, follow up?
Related to that, if that's okay?
Yep.
To you, Madam Mayor, to the clerk and rest of council, can we propose not to meet, on a work day? Because you said in the past it wasn't part of, I know sometimes it's harder too if you pick a weekend, because people want their weekends off, but if it can be at night, so that would remove that $75 or whatever amount that we decide. Just wonder if we could propose that we don't meet on a work day.
I'm gonna keep going because we're getting a lot of repeaters. So, Councillor Kylie?
Yeah, just to clarify, through your worship, just to clarify, Lad, were you talking about removing the benefits for council members, like health benefits?
It's a question to me.
Yeah,
Through you, Madam Mayor, what I'm suggesting is that we should look at the whole benefits package and the costing. I'm not asking us to remove that. Just to look at it, it could well be that, some of us might not want some of the stuff that are there. I don't know, but again, my main point is that we are volunteers here and we should not surround our work with something that looks like a full-time benefits. So that's what I'm, just to look at it again, to see if there are any cost savings.
Okay, Counselor,
Can I?
are you gonna follow up?
Yeah. I'll follow up.
Okay, so we're getting into like a lot of crosstalk and we're not supposed to do that, so Counselor Kylie?
Yeah, as a follow-up, I think most councils do cover benefits for counselors. You have benefits, possibly, Casey does, you can opt out. But Rick and I don't. I think it's a definitely plus to be on council for, to have those benefits, and I hate to see them taken away. I think it's a little bit unfair to, propose that. Thank you.
Counselor Owen?
Yes, your worship, through you to council. 1% or 0%, I could care less about. The amount of money that we're paid, 1%'s nothing anyways, okay? To say I'm a volunteer is incorrect. I get paid to be here. Do I get paid for the full number of hours that I work? No. Did I get paid for the full hours I worked when I worked for the Northern News? No. But I get paid to be here, so I'm not a volunteer. In terms of benefits, you can opt out of them all except for life insurance. It's something that gives people to attract quality people to run for council. You know, we're not saying we're gonna give you $50,000 to sit on council. No. But one of the things we are doing, we're saying, if you need benefits, we will provide them for you during your term of office. And just for the record, the first 4 years that I was on council, I did not get my benefits through council. They were through my wife, but my wife is retired. So I think it's important. If you want good people to run, you have to offer something other than a headache.
Counselor Owens?
My comment through that was for clarification with the clerk for the wages. So yeah, if the town's not willing to pay full wages that we're missing, and I appreciate your comment about it, you're being served to be on jury duty, I get it. But there's a lot of implications for some of us when we have to take days off. It's not as simple as say, hey, I don't have time off. I simply do not. It's either I call in sick, I have one personal day a year. Otherwise, it's time off without pay, and I'm not gonna take time off without pay when I'm taking a job that I'm being attacked for publicly and around the table. So it's either we put a clause in there that there's no training during the day, which I know it's not fair for staff, and I appreciate that we have to work with staff. So if it's one or the other, no training during the day, or we compensate fairly with proof. I'm not saying that, hey, this is what I make, you have to fork up the money. I have proof, I send in and prove this, you calculate what it's worth and pay me. Otherwise, I say it work.
CEO Alan Smith?
If you Madam Mayor, 2 members of council regarding training. Sometimes when that training takes place is out of our control. Sometimes the other side organizations or agencies will only do training for the day. So that does confine us to when that training takes place. So we just can't have it on the weekend or in the evening. Maybe we can sometimes, but a lot of that is dictated by outside organizations.
So I do think, I just did a calculation, $75 at 8 hours a day is $9.35. So at one time that may have been appropriate, to replace or replenish. But it could be revisited. I don't know how many years it's been since it has been revisited. And so I would support that as well. Counselor Shaba?
Yeah, to you, Madam Mayor, maybe, to rectify the situation would be, the staff look at, the amount that would be okay, because I know all of us around this table, your wages are different from mine different from yours. So maybe get that information and, see if we can get a medium, or maybe a mean that will pacify everyone. But I mean, I own my own business, so I make my own time. Doesn't matter if you guys pay me or not, but I appreciate people that are employed, because when you leave your job, someone has to backfill for you to do your job. So maybe what we should do is to contact some of the people and see how much, amount is gonna be okay, and I'll be happy with that, or alternatively, if we just, pay them whatever like in your case, the board will be paying you, maybe it'll be $250 an hour for 8 hours or whatever it is. So when I was the union, that's what the union does for me, wherever my wage is for the day, when I do union duties, the union will pay the whole thing to the college. Simple as that. So you look at that or look at a certain number of an amount that will pacify all the people that are affected around the table.
Quick follow-up.
Yeah, sorry, before, Madam Clerk will speak to
Go
this.
through you, Madam Mayor, to all of council. So, just for everybody's information, that review has already taken place with this report. So the average was anywhere between $50 to $150 per day.
Counselor
And
Owens.
through Madam Mayor, the policy I submitted to you from a municipality in Saskatchewan, that it was clearly written that it was not a fixed amount, it was the value of your earnings missed for council time. So that's a clear indication, so, and that's what it could be, the value of your missed, value of your whatever your wages are with the school board, nowhere near $250 an hour. I really wish, but whatever the value is, submitted to the school board, because I know for the union, if you have to miss for the union will submit it to the school board pays me my wages, but the union pays for them. So it could be something similar like that, an arrangement with the municipalities.
Okay, so, yeah.
Through Madam Mayor, to all council. So the value of your wages, that policy that is referred to in this report is based on per diem rates. So where council were receiving not an honorarium, but a per hour rate associated with their functions and services on council. So I just wanted to make it clear that that policy is a bit different than the other policy that was reviewed. That policy is based on a per diem rate rather than honorariums.
Okay, so I do think that we've kind of got consensus of where we want to see the changes. Madam Clerk, how do you wish to proceed? Do you
Okay,
want
so
to-
we don't want to go through amendments deep, but I'd like to deal with one
Thank you.
amendment at a time. So right now, there's 3 or 4 things I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Remove 1% increase, amend to remove the wellness membership subsidy. There was another discussion about admin conducting a review of the benefits and then adjusting the reimbursement for missed employment due to council function to another amount or to value of your wages.
Yeah, I think that was those 4. Yeah. Okay, so do we want to go one by one?
Certainly. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for, so however we'll work through the amendments first. And then at the end, I'll reread the motion as amended with whatever is the outcome of the amendments. Does that work perfectly? Okay. So the first amendment would be to remove the 1% increase.
All in
Oh,
favor?
hold on, I need a mover and a seconder.
Sorry, yeah.
I
Do this.
I moved it.
Yeah, he moved it.
Okay.
Glad, Janice.
Okay. And you call for a vote.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed, none noted.
Okay.
Item carried unanimous. Item amendment number 2,
Which is to remove the wellness membership subsidy.
mover, Casey and Dolly. Oh, sorry, you were voting?
Yeah, no, he moved it.
Casey, Casey
Janice.
moves,
Yeah.
and Dolly was, yeah,
Okay, who's the seconder?
Dolly,
Okay.
like, sorry.
Shorter name,
Okay.
that's all.
Go ahead.
All in favor? Opposed? Amendment carried unanimous. Amendment number 3.
Amendment number 3 was to have admin conduct a review of the benefits.
Mover, Vlad Chava. Any seconder?
Can I have a recorded vote on this, please?
Well, it needs a seconder, or we
Well,
can't even
I
talk
mean,
about it.
Is there a second?
No, so
Okay.
that's defeated,
Well, there's no
or
definition.
no, yeah.
Okay,
It will not
number,
proceed.
okay, so the number 3 will be,
Number
value, sorry,
Yeah,
reimbursement for missed employment due to council function. At reimbursement at the value of your wages, as submitted.
That's from the day.
yeah, it's during work, yeah.
Now, the other question is, this can only be done by obtaining prior approval from council by way of resolution.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, so you can't incur we can't submit for the, sorry,
Yeah.
I'm talking out of turn, sorry,
okay.
through Madam. You can't incur the expense until such time the council approves the expense, so it would come to the council.
the only problem with that is, if I remember correctly, the first email we received for heads up for training was before we even got elected. That, hey, these dates have to be safe, so if we're not on council yet, like is it presumptuous of me to say, hey, I'm gonna be reelected, here are my wages? Do you guys figure it out, or? That, I can see a problem there.
I think we could work with it as long as, I think there's a meeting before, we can have it worked into the inaugural meeting during whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Perfect. So that being said, now the amendment is for the value of your wages as submitted for the reimbursement for missed employment due to council function. Mover,
Casey, seconder. Pat Hyde. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Amendment carried unanimously.
okay,
Okay, no further discussions. We will move on to the reading of the motion.
okay. So before we move on to the reading of the motion, the staff is going to budget accordingly, because there will be budget impacts to this. So if staff can communicate with any of you outside of the meeting, we'll need a number that'll come forward at the next meeting. But if an adjustment needs to be made, then it'll be coming forward by the treasurer. Okay, so moving on to the reading of the full motion now as amended. Moved by Councillor Casey Owens, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen, be it resolved that report number 2024 Corp 18 entitled Proposed Council Remuneration Policy be received, and that council approve the council remuneration policy as amended. And that council direct that the new council remuneration policy take effect commencing on January 1st, 2025. And finally, that the council remuneration policy be numbered and inserted into the corporate policy manual.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Thank you, sir. Item 6.6, 2023 annual and summary reports for the Kirkland Lake Drinking Water System. Alan Smith, CAO.
Members of council, on February 28th, the town received the annual report based on previous year 2023 from Aqua, as required in accordance with section 11 of the Safe Drinking Water Act, which regulates drinking water testing, use of licensed laboratories, treatment requirements, and report requirements. This also includes a summary report, which is also required to be prepared no later than March 31st of each year in accordance with Schedule 22 under the Act. Both reports are contained in attachment 1 of a council report. And in order to address any questions this evening, we have a representative from Aqua who will be able to answer the questions that I can't.
Any questions or comments from council? Councillor Owen?
Thank you, your worship. And I don't expect the CIO can answer this question. And I know my good friend from Ottawa is waiting for it, so. It says there were 8 water main incidents reported in 2023, all 8 from category 1 breaks. What's a category 1? What's a category 2 or like?
Yeah, so it depends on the severity of the break, right? So you have category 1 break. It's fairly minor, right? A category 2 is more severe. It just kind of categorizes it into, it's just in different categories. Tells the MECP and the regulators whether or not it's, how severe it is, whether or not it has to be, boil water or, other kind of actions taken, right?
Follow-up question?
At what point are the operators required to inform the health unit?
Always.
Always, even on a category 1 break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Owens?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it's not a question, it's just a comment. It was nice to read the report and to see the definite improvement between 2022 and 2023. The amount of non-compliance in the 2 years is drastic. There's, from what if I understood the the report correctly, there was 2 issues of non-compliance and then the rest of the time, so it's reassuring to know that our water is safe in Kirk Lake, regardless of what people might think of smell, look, whatever else is associated with the water, it is good, clean, safe drinking water.
Thank
So,
you for that.
Thank you for that.
Anything further from Councillor Shabbat?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, I don't have mine on, sharing this. This is on page 15 of your report about your raw water and treated water. First thing I think is good to see that, the flow itself is, lower than the PTW, PTTW. It's good to see that, but I have 2 questions. The 2 months of, you look at the water intake, table A, 12,740 liters per minute, very high in March. And then also, it goes down and went up a little bit in December. So why is that? If you, any reason why you draw a lot in March and than any other? If you look at my, I want table A here.
Yeah.
12,740. So my other question is that if we look at the flow rate that pushing out, which is the treated water, so can you let me understand? I know we're losing 50% of water, we're told in the ESP report. So if you look at the second table B that you have there, well, you're pumping out this much every month. So where would that 50% that we're losing, where did that factor in? So I don't understand it. So start with the first one, why are we drawing so much water in March?
Yeah,
From Gull Lake, more than anyone else, 12,740.
March and June.
And then number 2 is, if we look at the treated water, which is water that's going out to everybody, right? So where did that 50%, how did that factor into this? I don't know.
thank you, Councilor. Yeah, so, there's many factors. I would have to look into those months in particular, but I know that, you know, we have a major water main break that may drive that flow up, flushing activities that can drive water up. Other maintenance activities can drive water flows up, but those months in particular, I'd have to look into them, I can tell you.
Yeah, for the treated water you're bringing in,
Yeah,
that's what my first question, you're bringing more than every other month, okay? The second question about,
So, and the second question, for the water lost, you know, so you're asking where maybe that.
yeah,
water might
because
be going,
you're
right?
pumping almost the same thing every month.
Yeah,
So I'm not too sure, so are you pumping 50% more to get us this, or where, how do we reconcile this? What is going out to everybody, to that loss?
yeah.
So
So I think there's probably a number of different factors for the water that's going out. You have water bleeders that are in the system, so those are continuously letting water out just to maintain the quality of the water. You've also got individuals, you know, in homes who are bleeding water because they may have a line that might be threatening to freeze in the wintertime, so that's extra water that's going out. And then you also have likely some leakage that's actually in the pipes, and that's also letting water go out.
Yeah.
We know how much we're sending out of the distribution system, but we, without having, flow meters at many of the different locations where the water is being used, we're unable to kind of make up the amount that's going missing in the middle, if that makes any sense. So we have no idea how much is going out into leaks, through bleeding and through homeowners. I think, you know, with water meters, we would be able to kind of backtrack and then put those numbers together. Yeah.
just,
Can I follow up?
yeah, please, okay, so, just layman language, we're any water technology knowledge. So if we're not losing 50%, let's say we're not losing, ideally, we're not losing 50%. So we're gonna be drawing half of what we're drawing now. Oh no, we're gonna be sending half of what we're sending now to everybody. So let's take a month, March. March was 8,887 cubic meters per day that were sent out to everyone. Again, let's say we don't have 50% loss, does that mean that instead of sending that 8,000 will be half of that?
Yes, yeah. Essentially, so if we're able to stop those leaks and stop that water usage, we would cut that water, by likely 30%. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. Anything further from members of council? We do appreciate your time, sir. I have the reading of the motion.
Certainly, Madam Mayor. Moved by Councillor Janice Ranger, seconded by Councillor Patrick Kiley. It resolved that report number 2024 PW002 entitled 2023 annual and summary reports for the Kirkland Lake District Water System be received. That council hereby accepts the 2023 annual summary report for the Kirkland Lake Drinking Water System as presented. And then finally, the 2023 annual summary report for the Kirkland Lake Drinking Water System be published on the town's official website, and a copy be made available for public viewing at the Public Works Office on Dunfield Road.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 6.7, annual cleanup week. Alan Smith, CAO.
Madam Mayor, to members of council. This report is in response to council's motion of June 20th, 2023, requesting information report be presented that includes the usage of the town's voucher program and projected costs associated with returning to the original cleanup week events to make a determination on annual spring garbage pickup events. Council at its August 11th, 2020 meeting approved implementing the tipping fee voucher system as a solution associated with the challenges and efficiencies of the free tipping free events. Now, also during this time period, there was a decision not to reinstate the spring cleanup week, basically because of increasing costs. Now, using the ongoing voucher system translates to a volume of usage of approximately 2,924 cubic meters per year at a cost of $14 per cubic meter. The total cost or lost revenue is approximately just under $41,000 a year using the voucher system. Now, when we look at a reinstating a cleanup week or spring cleanup week, one needs to understand that the work involved from the Public Works Department goes well beyond 1 week. It's more like 3. This translates to a projected cost, for example, in 2024, would be just over $182,000. And this would also include the removal of Public Works staff from undertaking core services, mainly road maintenance, for that 3-week time period. That's for the 2024 budget. Staff has not included funds for a cleanup week, which would be an increase to service levels. Now, I do want to acknowledge that last year we did participate in a volunteer community cleanup event. And we provided garbage bags at town locations, and we also placed a bin behind the complex. I've been informed that this will be happening again this year, and it's going to be on the information May 1st to May 11th. So I'm going to be discussing with staff that we do participate in this event. However, if we are to use a bin, that we find maybe a different location than behind the complex, it'd be not having it managed appropriately became like a free for all, but dumping every conceivable type of waste in that bin. So I still have to discuss this with Public Works staff, but I think this is something that we can get behind again for the community.
Thank you for that report. Before I open it from the table, this was something that was a concern of mine, recognizing that many community members don't have the ability. And it was kind of the time honored tradition, this spring cleanup. In the report, it said about, I believe, 975 of these vouchers were coming back. And with a population, I think there's over 3,000 residences in the town of Kirkland Lake, give or take, maybe more. I feel that this program is very underutilized. And it would be interesting to know why it's so underutilized. But at a cost of 182 and change, and considering our 9.8 and 9.2 increases we're currently looking at, even though I would really like to see the return, I personally can't justify that. And I'm glad to hear that the community cleanup will be taking place. I'll open it now to the table. Any comments or questions? Councillor Owen?
Through you, your worship. This is something that I've received a number of requests for. And it puts me in a difficult situation because I think they're legitimate requests. I look at the people they're coming from, and they're people that don't have pickup trucks. Okay? Or they're people that may not even have a car. Okay, but they want to clean up their yard. But at the same time, right now, as things stand, we're looking at 9.8% increase in taxes. So I'm not happy about saying, I don't think this is the year to do it. But I'd like to bring it back next year and the year after that again, because it's a service that the residents are asking for. But we, in my opinion, can't afford to do it this year. But I don't think we trashed the whole thing.
Councillor Owens?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'd like to report, it's clear that we can't afford to spend $182,000 on a cleanup week. I think as municipalities, we're not the only ones that are gonna have to start reconsidering how we do business. Things can't work the way they always have, because it's simply not affordable anymore. I think there's something to explore in a on-demand service. The municipality my parents live in have access to a cleanup week type situation, but you need to call it in ahead of time. You're very limited on what you could put in there. And it's not as time consuming, it's not at large, so I could see a possibility, hey, I have my own pickup truck, I don't need that service, so I can get I love my vouchers, they are used every single year. 2 trips at least, the rest I pay for. But we can have a dual system in collaboration for those people that don't have access to a pickup truck. Hey, if we have an on-demand computerized tracking, did you collect your vouchers? You have access one or the other, not both, and limit what goes into the vehicle, so you're not utilizing 3 weeks to clean up the municipality. You can have it anytime during the year.
Interesting. Councillor Ranger?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think you said it perfectly when you said it. It was a time honored tradition. It's part of my childhood. And I would love to see it being brought back, but we don't live in that fiscal time. We live in this one. We as counselors are brought here to make, maybe some not so popular decisions. But with a tax increase on those that own properties, to burden them with this on top of it is not the right time. But I do think that Councillor Owens has a good idea in that it needs to be addressed every year so that it doesn't fall by the wayside. And then it's reviewed based on the time and the fiscal responsibilities of that council in that year. I think we could look maybe to consider creating a subcommittee with community members, or for one of us to join so that we can represent the town or have a town member with those in the community who do want to see or consider other options. I know, and I speak broadly when I say a lot of European communities have very vivacious recycle programs, and upcycling is becoming a much more common and popular opportunity for people. So there could be options that don't cost us.
Thank you for that. Councillor Owen?
Through you, your worship, I would also like to see a container placed for electronic waste in town, and also one for metal. Because the idea is to clean up the town, and people have a lot of metal sitting in their yards quite often. You look around, you have to look for it, but it's there. And with the electronics, a lot of people like myself, I'm not gonna drive to the dump to get rid of my electronics. but I will get rid of it if you give me a container in town.
Thank you for that addition. Anything further from members of council? I'll have the reading of the motion.
Certainly, Madam Mayor, moved by Councillor Owen, seconded by Councillor La Chaba. It resolved that report number 2024 PW 3 entitled Annual Cleanup be received.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item 6.8, award of 608-24 RFP Integrity Commissioner Services, Jennifer Montoy, Municipal Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Further to an open call for submissions that ran from January 18th through February 15th. Based on the evaluations team review of the submissions received, it is being recommended that David Bogosian, managing partner at Bogosian and Allen LLP, having achieved the highest combined score, be awarded the RFP to be appointed as the town's geotechnical commissioner. When preparing the RFP, administration focused on the criteria of qualification and experience, especially in the realm of conflict resolution and investigation, general municipal knowledge, including legislative familiarity. As noted in the report, Mr. Bogosian has ties to the community, as his mother was born and raised in the town. He brings with him a wealth of direct and indirect municipal experience, which is 30+ years, and is currently appointed as the town of Pelham, Fort Francis, the city of Greater Sudbury, and Hamilton and Haldimand County's Integrity Commissioner. In comparison to the town's rate for service, the difference from the previous Integrity Commissioner to this one would be an increase of $50 per hour. However, the expertise quantifies the rate as a component is a well-established legal practitioner in Ontario. It should be noted that Mr. Bogosian was the proponent with the most experience as Integrity Commissioner and the only proponent that did not require any form of retainer from the municipality. As the municipality must provide 30 days notice to the current interim Integrity Commissioner, Mr. Bogosian's services would only take effect on April 21st. And upon the direction of council, an execution and appointing bill would both be presented on council on April 2nd for approval on April 16th. I'm available for questions if there are any.
Thank you for that. Any questions? Councillor Kylie?
Yeah, I'd like to see in our contract where a counselor has the ability to pick up the phone, call the Integrity Commissioner, have a quick down and dirty discussion. In the past, we were required to fill out a form and go through a long process, which by the time you got through it, you just said to hell with it.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Kylie, are you seeking for a motion to have staff review the inquiry protocol? Because that's the actual document that references the process in which an inquiry needs to be made.
I'd like to have it included in the protocol.
So are you putting a motion?
Because this is separate and
Yeah.
apart from
Yeah,
the award this evening, so if you're looking to have staff, if you're wanting to have staff look at amending the inquiry protocol, you'd have to bring a notice of motion for that later on in the agenda. That's not part of the contract it can't be part of the contract with the Integrity Commissioner, because they have to act upon the protocol
Do you want that now?
no, I
No, no,
notice
has
this
it.
a motion.
during notices of motion,
Okay.
okay?
Perfect. Any questions or comments regarding this matter? Okay, I'll have a reading of the motion.
Certainly, Madam Mayor, moved by Councillor Janice Ranger, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens, be it resolved that report number 2024 Corp 16 entitled Award of 608-24 RFP Integrity Commissioner Services be received. That council awards 608-24 RFP for Integrity Commissioner Services to the Bogosian plus Allen LLP as per their proposal received on February 15th, 2024. And that the term for the Integrity Commissioner begin effective April 21st, 2024, and end on November 30th, 2026. And that the mayor and municipal clerk be authorized to execute a services agreement with Bogosian plus Allen LLP for Integrity Commissioner Services, including an optional extension period at the town's sole discretion. And finally, that an execution and appointment bylaw be brought forward for 3 readings on April 16th, 2024.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 7, considerations of notices of motion. At this time, I will have acting Mayor Lad Shaba take the chair.
Sorry.
No, wonder.
I need to move my chair. It's fine.
Yeah, item 7.1, Mayor Stacy White, amendments to the OHSA to clarify the definition of employer, City of Greater Sudbury resolution. So read the motion, please.
Certainly, moved by Mayor Stacy White, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen. It resolved that council for the corporation of the town of Kirkland Lake support the resolution from the city of Greater Sudbury regarding amendments to the Occupational Health and Safety Act to clarify the definition of employer as attached.
Thank you, Acting Chair. So this is a support motion that originated from another municipality. So what I'm asking tonight is that we just support the motion coming from Greater Sudbury. What had occurred is in 2015, the city of Greater Sudbury entered into a contract with a contractor for road construction. The written contract provided that the contractor would be the constructor for the project, as that term is defined in Occupational Health and Safety Act. There was an accident with a fatality, and the city was charged with offenses under the act as the constructor and the employer. So how this came about is we consider our contractors responsible for their workers, but the Court of Appeals held that the city was the employer. So what they are asking is for a new definition be put in, and so I'm asking on behalf of all municipalities across Ontario that this needs to be done. And I hope we can support Sudbury's motion.
Councillor Rick Owen.
Yes, through you, Acting Mayor, and I'll try and keep this brief. Nobody laugh. This motion is to reduce the potential liability that we have as a municipality. And it's a motion asking for changes that will protect our ratepayers from a liability which I think most of us at the table would consider not real, not the responsibility of the municipality. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Item number 7.2, Mayor says White, urgent need for increased funding to libraries and museums in Ontario, Town of Lincoln resolution.
Moved by Mayor Stacy White, seconded by Councillor Dolly Dykens. Be it resolved that council for the corporation of the town of Kirkland Lake support the resolution from the town of Lincoln regarding the urgent need for increased funding to libraries and museums in Ontario as attached.
Thank you, sir. In January of this year, Czech Centennial Library received the Public Library Operating Pay Equity and First Nation Grants funding in the amount of $27,922. This is the provincial government's support of services that will cost the town of Kirkland Lake $400,000 to operate this year. The Public Library Act severely restricts the ability of any library to increase their revenue streams, and they are the last locations in modern society that are free to use. A person can spend from open to close inside a library and not be asked for a dime. Despite the vital role libraries play, the Ontario government has not increased funding in over 25 years. That should be seen as unacceptable. For the museum, the maximum amount for the Community Museum Operating Grant, known as CMOG, is $25,000 for a service that will cost, whose expenditures are $355,000 in 2024 for the town of Kirkland Lake. And that is nearly a drop in the bucket, $25,000. The funding has remained stagnant for over 15 years for CMOG, thus ignoring the vital role museums play. I hope all members of council will see fit to support this motion. Again, it is a support motion that originated outside of the municipality, but I believe in essence, it's something that all council members across Ontario should support.
Thank you. Councillor Dolly Dykens.
To you, Acting Mayor, to council, it's important for libraries and museums to be supported across, Ontario, and, I don't think it's acceptable that the funding hasn't increased for a long time.
Okay, anyone else? Yes,
Just, through you, acting chair, I fully support the motion, but just as a point of clarification, within the town of Kirkland Lake, residents can rent cross-country skis, snowshoes, and ski for free within our municipality. So there are, in Kirkland Lake, there's at least 2 services that are still free.
I do appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah, no, it's just
Yeah,
point of.
the building itself
Yeah, no, I
is
get,
entirely free.
no, I get that, but within the town of Kirkland Lake, residents can still
I do
rent.
appreciate that.
For the time being, the budget may say something else in a few weeks, but for now it's free.
Thank you for that clarification.
anyone else? Yeah, I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion? Anyone opposed? None, motion is carried. Oh, yes, item 7.3 withdrawn by Mayor Casey White.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sorry. Thank you, Acting Mayor Latchaba, for taking the chair for those motions. Item number 8, introduction, reading, and consideration of bylaws.
Moved by Counselor Janice Ranger, seconded by Counselor LaChapa, be it resolved, that the following bylaw be read, numbered, passed, signed by the mayor and municipal clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 2414 being a bylaw to establish remuneration adjustments for non-union employees.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Items number, pardon. Item number 9, questions from council to staff. There were none submitted prior to council. Item number 10, notices of motion. Pat Kiley.
Yeah, I wish to bring a notice of motion with respect to the communication process with the integrity commissioner. Thank you.
I'll second it.
Not at this time. You can do it just yeah, okay. So anything further from members of council? I will serve notice of motion as well, for a letter of understanding with Beaver House First Nation.
It's a letter of understanding.
What did I say?
Memorandum. of-
Sorry, letter of understanding.
Is it a memorandum of agreement or is it a letter of understanding?
Going to be determined.
Okay, I will put both.
Yeah.
Cross out which one is.
Yeah. They are also going to their council at this time. Item number 11, councilors' reports. Councilor Owens.
Through you, Madam Mayor, on March 5th, the mayor and myself participated in our monthly THU meeting. At one point in the meeting, the progress of the merger between THU and THU was brought up. There was a report to the board. And one thing that came out of that report is the name, the new entity has been chosen. And in the spirit of equality between both health units, so it's not Timmins or Porcupine merging with Kirkland Lake or Kirkland, or Timiskaming merging with Porcupine. A new name has been chosen, so Northeastern Public Health or Santé Publique du Nord-Est, so that represents a new entity, a regional entity on equal footing in name. For the time being.
Councilor Owen.
Yes, thank you, your worship. Last council meeting, when I gave the councilor's report, I misspoke. I said that Zach's Crib was part of DSAP. It is not. It's a separate entity onto its own. It has its own board. DSAP has supported it from, as far as I can tell, from day one, financially and with advice and staff going over and whatever. Unfortunately, that was never communicated to me at a board meeting that it was a separate entity. So I just want to apologize for any confusion I caused. And I want to be able to go to the DSAP meeting tomorrow night and say, yes, I misspoke, but I apologize. but it's just a minor thing. For those who don't know what Zach's Crib is, it's a hostel that connects homeless people with wraparound services that they might need, whether it be professional or volunteer. And it's been so far very successful. It's called Zach's Crib because Zach was a person who could have used the facility, but unfortunately passed. So, and I thank Councilor Ranger for updating me on that. Somehow she has a connection with DSAP.
Thank you for that. Anything for Councillor Shava?
Yeah, well, just, yeah, to you, Madam Mayor, I work on that building. I know the building very well and, very, very impressive building. And my hope is that maybe, one of these days we'll have something similar to that in Kirkland Lake to serve, people that we needed.
Thank you for that. Anything further from members of council? I just want to take a moment to acknowledge some volunteers in our community. First, council and some staff were able to support the Advocates for Northern Animals fundraiser started by Vanya Blah, who recruited a group of crocheters to make shamrocks for purchase, with all proceeds going to this worthy cause. It's caring volunteers like Vanya who make the community a better place to be for all of us, including our animal friends. Tonight I'm wearing my purple ribbon, as all members of council have been gifted to raise awareness for epilepsy during the month of March. Like World Thinking Day, this was requested by a local individual, Nicole Barker, and I am so pleased that members of the community wish to include the corporation of the town of Kirkland Lake in the acknowledgement and awareness campaigns of such importance. I think we play a vital role in our community, and when we can raise awareness to important issues such as this, we should always take the moment to do so. I do want to address the amount of industrial and commercial interest in Kirkland Lake over recent months. I believe this is a direct result in the community's readiness to build and do business with our council, willing to welcome new and diverse ideas and innovation to our town. I commend staff and keep up the incredible work. You certainly make us proud. And speaking about being proud, our clerk, Jennifer Montroy, has successfully graduated from AMCTO's diploma program in municipal administration. She was inducted into AMCTO's academic honor roll, which is not only a tremendous accomplishment for herself, but also brings great pride to our community. Congratulations on these accomplishments. As well, on February 20th, Courtney Nyland officially achieved her CVO designation. We send her our congratulations on this accomplishment and thank her for her continued service to the community of Kirkland Lake. So thank you, Courtney, for completing that. Incredible. Good job. We have a motion, please.
Certainly. Thank you. Moved by Councilor Patrick Kiley, seconded by Councilor Rick Owen, be it resolved that the verbal updates from members of council.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimous. Item number 12, additional information. Item 12.1, proclamation. International Purple Day for Epilepsy Awareness. Whereas Purple Day is celebrated on March 26th annually during Epilepsy Awareness Month to increase knowledge and understanding of epilepsy. And whereas Purple Day was founded in 2008 by Cassidy Megan, a 9-year-old girl from Nova Scotia who wanted people living with epilepsy to know they were not alone. And whereas on Purple Day, people in communities around the world are encouraged to wear purple and host events in support of epilepsy awareness. And whereas epilepsy affects over 95,000 people in Ontario, with 30% living with uncontrolled seizures, and 6,000 new diagnoses happen every year. Over 380,000 people in Canada and over 65 million people across the world are living with epilepsy. And whereas the onset of epilepsy can occur at any stage of life and does not discriminate. And whereas Purple Day can improve the quality of life of people living with epilepsy, create a society that embraces the beauty of difference, and help us understand how we can all come together to make the world a better place. Now, therefore, I, Stacy White, Mayor of the Town of Kirkland Lake, do hereby proclaim March 26, 2024 as International Purple Day for Epilepsy Awareness.
Moved by Counselor Lad Chaba, seconded by Counselor Casey Owens, be resolved that council sanction the proclamation for International Purple Day for Epilepsy Awareness, March 26, 2024, in the town of Kirkland Lake.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 12.2, Proclamation World Autism Day, April 2nd, 2024. Whereas World Autism Day will be recognized on April 2nd, 2024 in Canada, thanks to Senator Jim Munson's Bill S-206, an act respecting World Autism Awareness Day. And whereas autism spectrum disorder, ASD, affects more than about 135,000 Ontarians, autism spectrum disorder is a neurodevelopmental disorder affecting 1 in every 66 Canadian children, as well as their friends, family, and community. And approximately 1 to 2% of the Canadian population is on the autism spectrum. And whereas ASD is a spectrum disorder, which means it not only manifests itself differently in every individual whom it appears, but its characteristics change over the life of each person as well. A child on the autism spectrum will become an adult on the autism spectrum. And whereas Autism Ontario is the leading source of information and referral on autism and is one of the largest collective voices representing autism community. Since 1973, Autism Ontario has been providing support, information, and opportunities for thousands of families and individuals across the province. And whereas Autism Ontario is dedicated to increasing public awareness about autism and the day-to-day issues faced by individuals with autism, their families, and professionals whom they interact. The association and its regions share common goals for providing information and education, supporting research, and advocating for programs and services for the autism community. Now, therefore, I, Stacy White, Mayor of the Town of Kirkland Lake, do hereby proclaim April 3rd, 2024 as World Autism Day in the Town of Kirkland Lake.
Moved by Counselor Patrick Kiley, seconded by Counselor Janice Ranger, be it resolved the council sanction the proclamation for World Autism Day, April 2nd, 2024, in the town of Kirkland Lake.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. We will now take a 10-minute recess. Okay, we're gonna rise from our recess. And we will move into closed. Madam Clerk?
Moved by Counselor Darrell Dyken, seconded by Counselor Rick Owen, be it resolved the council adjourn in camera pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, labor relations or employee negotiations, advice that is subject to solicitor-attorney privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which if disclosed, could reasonably interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group, or group of persons or organization, any position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board at 6:45 p.m. for the following reasons. Item 13.1, review of non-core service number 1. Item 13.2, review of a non-core service number 2. Item 13.3, leveraging the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund with partnership. Item 13.4, request to purchase park mining claims L1354 and L6787 Archer Drive. And item 13.5, supplemental CAO performance evaluation.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Okay, so we shall now rise from in camera.
Moved by Counselor Patrick Kiley, seconded by Counselor Janice Ranger, be it resolved the council reconvene in open session at 9:04 p.m.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Any matters of pecuniary interest rising from closed? None noted. Item number 14.1, review of non-core service number 2. We need a mover. Glad and a seconder, Janice.
Okay, moved by Counselor Lad Chava, seconded by Counselor Janice Ranger, be it resolved that report number 2024 CS 002 entitled review to a non-core service number 2 be received. And that council direct for the cancellation of the lease agreement between the corporation of the town of Kirkland Lake and Ontario Heritage Foundation, now Ontario Heritage Trust, OHT, for the property located at 2 Chateau Drive, Kirkland Lake. And that administration formally notify the OHT that the corporation of the town of Kirkland Lake divests itself of possession of the whole and its interest in the management and its operations of the property legally described as mining claim L2242 and 16635, commonly known as Sir Harry Oaks Chateau and operating at the Museum of Northern History, effective December 31st, 2024. And that council approves the engagement of consultancy services from WSCS Consultants, Inc., who provide options on the transformation of cultural services, the costs of which are borne by the operational savings of the divestiture. And if the chief administrative officer be authorized to execute the services agreement with WSCS Consultants, Inc. in the form and content satisfactory to the chief administrative officer and director of community services, and that immediate formal notice be given to the impacted staff, the museum advisory committee and museum auxiliary, and finally that administration be directed to issue a press release on the divestiture for public knowledge.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item 14.2, Housing Naval Water System Funds. Mover, Casey, seconder.
Sorry, I had asked.
Oh,
Sorry, I thought you said item number 3. This is item number 2.
She had to change her agenda, that's why, like, she's not following this, that's why.
I have 13.3, sorry.
Okay, so you want to be the mover on housing enabling?
Yes, please, if
Okay.
possible.
So mover is Dolly, seconder is
Are we able to
Casey.
move that?
Oh, yes. Okay, Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund with partnership. Mover, Dolly Dykens,
Thank you.
seconder, Casey Owens.
I raised my hand first, though. Well, I'll do.
No, I had asked in.
So during recess, Counselor Dykens had asked to be the mover.
Not making
There
a
was-
deal, but
Yeah.
we don't usually proceed that way, right? We raise our hands, usually, I'm saying that's how we usually start, I raise my hand first. I was quicker, but whatever.
Can we have 2 movers?
No, it's not the point, we've always worked a certain way. And this gives me just the sour taste in my mouth that someone can go ahead by doing it that way, it's just.
I respect that. Thank you for your point.
Maybe you were acknowledged first, but yeah.
So in general, the mover and the seconder is actually put on prior to even us.
For regular, if we really
For
want to push the
regular.
issue for regular items, when we get to raise items, we raise our hand. Nobody gets to pick first because they choose to do so. It just, like I said, it's leaving a sour taste in my mouth,
I accept that.
considering how it's being done.
I accept
Where
that.
who's coming from, I don't want to go that far.
Counselor Owens. Thank you. Okay. All in favor? Oh, yes,
What,
yes,
seconder?
yes, you
Yeah,
absolutely
seconder.
do.
No, you can't.
No. Counselor Dykens and Counselor Owens are the movers and the seconders
okay,
of this
sorry.
item.
Okay.
The motion will be read.
Moved by Counselor Dolly Dykens, seconded by Counselor Casey Owens, be it resolved that report number 2024 DEV 6 entitled leveraging the housing enabling water systems fund with partnership be received. And that council direct that an application be submitted to the housing water enabling system funds for the engineering and design of town water infrastructure rehabilitation in central Kirkland Lake. And that council authorize a sole source purchasing agreement with EXP Services, Inc. to undertake the work as presented in the sum of $554,090 plus HST, which is 100% fully funded by partnership. And finally, that the chief administrative officer be authorized to execute the purchasing agreement in the form and content satisfactory to the chief administrative officer and the director of public works.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted, item carried unanimous. Now, item 14.3, request to purchase. We'll have to. read
Part
the-
mining claim L 13554 and L 6787 on Archer Drive.
Thank you. Mover Janice Ranger, seconder Counselor Owen.
Moved by Counselor Janice Ranger, seconded by Counselor Rick Owen. Be it resolved that report number 2024 DEV 007 entitled request to purchase mining claims L 1354 and L 6787 on Orchard Drive be received. And that council declare the north part of mining claim L 1354 and mining claim L 6787 as surplus land. And that council approve the sale of land described as part mining claim L 1354 and part mining claim L 6787 to Temiskaming Native Women's Support Group in the sum of $5 in the name of reconciliation. And that council authorize mayor and municipal clerk to execute the offer to purchase and all appropriate sale documents as may be required. And finally, that council authorize the bylaw of the sale of the property be given 3 readings at an upcoming.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted, item carried unanimous. Item number 15, confirmation bylaw, 15.1 bylaw, number 24-015.
Moved by Counselor Lod Chava, seconded by Counselor Casey Owens, be it resolved that the following bylaw be read. Numbered passed, signed by the mayor and municipal clerk and the sale of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 24-015, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at a meeting held Tuesday, March 19th, 2024.
All in favor? Opposed? Item carried unanimous. Item number 16, adjournment.
Moved by Counselor Casey Owens, seconded by Counselor Dolly Dykens, be it resolved that this regular meeting of council do now adjourn at 9:11 p.m.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted, item carried unanimous.